1. Boost ignition and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. Episode 154. We got a recap. Ricochet underway. How did you do this last night out of UFC Argentina, the first time that the UFC ever made it
I
to
don't even know how
Argentina?
I did.
As far as
Roundtree really messed up my night.
well, definitely that was the one that really hurt. That one's the one that I feel like we told you here, put him on 100%, then take him off, have him on 90. Good thing you only had him on 90 because Roundtree, one of those guys you just can't trust. Luckily, we didn't guarantee anything. Did we? I don't think we did with Roundtree.
Never again. I'm never again with Roundtree.
We are going to get there, but I just want to say back knee wasn't there before for his opponent. Freaking, that dude was way more muscular than he was his prior fights. But here nor there, we got to start it from the bottom to the top. It was still a fun fight of nights. Fun fight night of fights. We started with the 145ers where Nadir Rahmani, the decided favorite, came over debuting Anderson Dos Santos. A lot of people saw this coming. The alpha male standout he actually struck a lot more than we thought he was gonna. There was times where he was getting cut and he didn't need to be. But he eventually went to that takedown. And Nadir Rahmani, even though they were the first fight of the night, he ended up racking up a good amount of points. I think he was in that, was it 60 or 85 as on DraftKings? Either way, I didn't have much exposure to him, but his competition level wasn't that high. I don't think he really moves up as far as the rankings for me, Nadir Rahmani. IQ was still okay. He beat somebody he was supposed to beat. So I feel like he stays in the position he's at. Dos Santos, I didn't like what I saw from there, but he was a debuter, so at 145, these guys will be around for a while. Did you take away anything from that initial fight of the night?
No, it was the first fight of the night. I had Naramani decision.
Didn't learn you weren't like, oh, Naramani's one of these monsters in here.
No,
yeah,
no.
None of it. On to...
I won't remember that I saw that. I'm sorry, fellas.
I would agree with that. It was a very uneventful fight. On to debuting Jesus Pinheiro versus Devin Powell via third round decision. The 155-pound Powell has just come in here nonstop and underperformed nonstop. I feel like I've tried to bet on Powell as much as possible, and only once has it ever worked out for me. Low fight IQ, herky-jerky style, even though he comes in as a Muay Thai striker. Pinheiro, as much hype as he had, he was a 2-1 favorite in this spot. I think he underperformed against Powell because Powell looked just not there to me. So I don't like what I saw with Jesus in there. I'm going to have to, again, look back at the tape prior to his next fight to remember what I saw in there. But none of it was really good against a low-level opponent in Devin Powell, who it's time to get on out of here. It's been a long time for that. I haven't said that in a while. But I think it's time for Devin Powell.
Yeah, it might be. It's time for that tattoo. That tattoo is in such a weird position. It's in a weird position to me.
Is it in the running for one of the worst ones?
It's not a bad tattoo. It's just in a bad spot. If it was across the shoulder blades, it wouldn't be awful.
Or across the belly? Top side of the belly?
Maybe curved, maybe.
Wait, is Devin Powell, though? He's got that real estate taken over. I think he has an owl on his belly. There was a fighter on the fight card who had an owl, like the McGregor Jaguar, except an owl. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You got a mural. Your loved one's going to be looking at a mural there, but whatever.
It's you, boo. Do you,
Devin Powell. Do you feel like he stays in it, though? How do you feel? He should stay at the 155ers?
It's the second fight of the night, so he doesn't move his spot from being a second fight of the night guy. kind of deal. I don't know if either guy, but maybe both guys just stunted each other a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree.
It was a banger.
Totally.
They stood. You didn't feel like it?
I didn't feel like it was too much of a banger, honestly.
You know what? I'm going to be honest. I was cleaning my kitchen during this fight.
Yeah, and that's probably the right move. You probably won watching that fight in that move because I was just like,
it too long,
come
probably.
on, pal, keep kicking. So, unfortunately for Jesus, he's going to probably get a big step up in competition. So, betting-wise, look out for that. Then we move on to the 70-pounders where debuting Laredo Strapoli defeated Hector Aldana in a big underdog play here at LaTB. We stuck with the underdog. Did we both stay with Strapoli in this fight?
I had Aldana.
Oh, dang it. That's right. Decision
But I didn't have Aldana anywhere.
This got closer as the fight came to fruition, and Aldana just stayed in front of Strapoli the whole time.
I sound
it got
so drab
cut.
about this card, but part of it is just there were so many quick finishes, which everyone thinks they want in a fight, but it does
Then
make
you got that half an hour wait.
Oh, and you and I both discussed it, and it also made me realize I always thought, I don't care if I have announcers or not. I don't give a shit. Worst announcers.
I would agree with that. 100%. Jimmy Smith, and who was his accomplice there?
That is the question. That is the question.
Because Jimmy Smith can do a good job. We know that for a fact.
Yeah, he needs somebody to bounce off of.
Right.
It was a racquetball of human interaction. It was racquetball.
I would
he was
agree.
Just bouncing it off somebody that was just like zero comeback.
Big lulls in action where they would just pretty much shoot a promo.
Or are we a short attention span that we need 3 guys at a table? Was there only 2 guys at that table?
To give them a little benefit of the doubt, I would say with those, as you're saying, some of those quick finishes, all of a sudden we have 27 minutes to fill because we know that Fox commercial repertoire needs to get put into place. So I could see them maybe having to talk in the background and not have anything to say by announcement time because you're just shot. Either way, you're spot on.
You know the Fox desk?
Yes.
How it was...
T-Wood and Kenny Florian.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Olivia was there. No.
little
lady. But Benavidez' wife.
Was it her?
Megan Olivi.
Was it her at the
yes,
desk?
it was her, not
Anyways,
Bryant. Yep.
I really would have enjoyed them ringside more.
I agree.
You have a wealth of people to pick from. Even if you have to surround Jimmy with 2 other people, it just was not great.
I would totally agree. By the way, while we're in the announcement category, how did you feel about the double announcing with the Spanish and English the whole time throughout the night?
I didn't even notice.
Really? Because I felt like the first fight of the night, he announced in English, then in Spanish, English, then in Spanish, both fighters, and I was like, oh, this is going to hurt.
I didn't even notice.
Interesting. Wow, maybe...
Yeah.
Because I understand both languages, I'm like, he's just saying the same thing.
Yeah,
he's just saying the same thing.
more repetitive.
Like, you know how a breakdown of a fight's coming out? He's saying his name?
Yeah, for
His
you it
rounds,
sounds like the same thing over and over again. For me, it just sounds like some of the stuff I understand and some of it I don't at all.
Right.
So my brain is more intrigued by it because it doesn't sound like duplicate.
Right. So not to try to duplicate everything I said before, Hector Aldana stands in front of you.
Should we start doing that on the show?
Might not be a bad call.
Maybe not.
What do we do with Strapoli here? How far do you feel like he goes in this fight? Aldana didn't look high caliber. How many times did the doctor come in on this fight? 3 times for that eye? What? And Strapoli had 2 golf balls on the side of his forehead too?
Strapoli has those Ioana hematoma.
Yeah.
I call them Ioanatoma.
Nice. I like that. But Aldana's left eye cut multiple cuts. They kept stopping the fights at the beginning of each round to have the doctor come in and not take time in between rounds. Interesting tactics.
It was whatever. One of the cuts I didn't... Oh, that was a fight later.
That's later. We'll get to that one because that was a devastating cut.
I think there was some okay calls. I didn't mind some of the calls that were made. I know some of them get heat later on.
As far as the safety for the fighters is what you're saying. I would agree with that.
I want everything to be safety for the fighters.
And I'd much rather have a doctor check than not at all, and then have and they checked it multiple times and allowed it to keep going. So they saw something that we didn't there. Moving forward with either one of those guys, though, I'm going to be super tentative. Really look stylistically. Strapoli's a banger against a guy who probably shouldn't be in that UFC ranking as well. Aldana might need to get on out of here. 2 in a row. How do you like that?
Yeah, I don't even remember. Third fight of the night.
Did they get fight of the night?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention that long to it.
I think they might have gotten fight of the night on top of that.
And I do think the main card, I'm hating a little on the undercard, but it's just because whatever. The main card was great.
So then we had Austin Arnett.
And I don't mind decisions.
True. If they're good, they could be fight of the year decisions for sure. Yeah, sometimes they're
my favorite things ever.
Totally. Austin Arnett against Roberto Bandonnet, the huge favorite. Big underdog came in here with Austin Arnett. I had Bandonnet first round TKO and first round cardio out the door with Bandonnet. If he doesn't get anything going with that left kick, that guy has nothing left. I was a part of the hype train. I apologize for that. I didn't play Bandonnet much on my DraftKings because he was over that 5,000.
Boo.
But yeah, no cardio at all in that guy. At all.
Yeah, I'm sad about it. And I wasn't very passionate about it. I don't think
we hyped it up too much.
But we both had a knockout round too. Did we? Did you have a knockout round?
I had knockout round 1.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I still didn't play it for my knockout round 1. I only played Bandonnet for that 9,300 on maybe 20%, 30% of my cards because I felt there was better finishing options because Arnett is a tough fighter regardless, which he showed. But I don't know if Roberto is necessarily that caliber of fighter as well. He really was exposed that entire fight all the way around as a mixed martial artist, not just a striker.
Where do you go with him?
Arnett, he's at the 145, 155 pound division. He's not going to be a favorite in many fights, but he's not going to be a big dark horse. I think he's going to have a bunch of tough fights. Bandonnet, though, if he can't be Arnett type level of grinders, it doesn't get any easier from this point on. And he's already lost to some lower level competition than I'd say even Arnett showed. So that's
maybe a Brian Caraway in the future, or not even there.
Did Caraway just get a bout officially signed?
I think so.
Did I see that?
I think he's the co-main on something.
Is it against Chad Mendes?
No.
Okay.
Chad Mendes is fighting somebody scary
that
he didn't want to take, and they were kind of like, you have to take this.
Yeah, because he's been out for so long. But I do know Caraway has also a tough fight coming up. I'm sure we're going to eventually break down.
I could look it up, but
you know how we hear
this fight. I'll look it up while you go on to the next.
At LaTB have been hitting it hard. We got weeks and weeks and weeks of this going on. So a lot of information coming out. We move on to the 25ers where we had Alejandro Pantoja defeat Ulka Sasaki via submission round number 1. I had Pantoja decision here. Didn't get there, obviously. Sasaki, who I gave more credit to on the ground, really showed that he got dominated by the Novo Yan fighter. Striking-wise, they didn't really show much because Pantoja got a takedown right away, and Sasaki pretty much was out positioned and out grappled.
Was this the roll-up or was it the next fight?
The roll-up? What do you mean?
I don't know. It just looked like a steamroller.
This was pretty quick. I mean, I don't think Bandonnet ever even striking in there was hurt. What we were saying with a couple other fighters that were going to get into their fights, and even on the last cast, Pantoja is one of these guys who fights way, way better in South America to me. No, Vunyao.
Volkanovski. Chad Mendes versus Volkanovski.
Come on, guys. That's a fucking fight. I'm excited for that one.
Chad Mendes didn't want that fight.
A lot of people don't want that fight. They got to pay people to fight Volkanovski right now.
They got to pay people.
Do you know who Caraway is scheduled with about in front of if you
talking about it too, because I don't really have anything to add about that fight anyway.
About the Sakai fight versus Pantoja, I agree. He was a fairly decided favorite. I did have some exposure to Pantoja, and he paid off with the big run time. So, on to one.
And Pantoja is going to continue to fight in countries that allow him to.
That's what I'm saying in South America.
Yeah, it's the same as the next. It's both fights.
And it is. It totally plays into the 170-pound Michelle Praceres, who we told you to watch out about making weight. He not only did he make weight, he made quick work of Bartosz Fabinski with a submission round number 1 in 1 minute 2 seconds. It was an overhand right that eventually set up the jumping guillotine by Prazeres. Prazeres, one of those underdog dark horses. He was more expensive. I had limited exposure, only about 20%, because he was over that 9,000. And I thought he was going to be more likely to grind it out. I don't think it's such a bad showing for Fabinski. I think Fabinski can really... He's going to be super underrated his next fight out.
I had Fabinski on some cards.
I did as well. I listened to Lesbo. I listened to the show. And I think Lesbo had good points. I think Lesbo had really good points. And that's what I'm trying to give credit to here. Because I think Fabinski is going to be super underrated. And Prazeres is a way bigger dark horse than people think. So Fabinski's going to be...
Because as long as he's fighting somewhere where he can juice,
he's going to be a favorite.
Same.
So Prazeres, though, stating that he's going to go down to 155 pounds after this. What do you think about that? Skeptic hippo face by Lesbo over here.
The very first time ever in the history of all time he makes weight.
Right? The only person on the card that we're like, if there's someone who's not going to make, it's this mofo. And the tractor pulls it out by running over competition, making weight, and then...
Speaking of, or do you want to just wait till we get
there?
No,
I think we're there, because I got nothing else to say about that fight.
Me either. Cynthia Cavillo, her making weight.
Here at LaTB, I just got to say, if you don't like and subscribe on Twitter, Insta, and or YouTube, more on that Twitter and Insta, you're missing out on real free bets. The Bean's putting out plus 150 underdog free bets, where I saw other sports bettors out there putting out plus 160 minus 160 Ricardo Lamas as a free bet. A 2-to-1 favorite free bet. Yeah, guys, you're welcome. Come on, I'm giving you guys real money here. Plus 150. I thought it was going to go a decision, but especially with that weight cutting, Cavillo missed by 2 pounds. Did you happen to hear her excuse?
No.
The big P strikes again. Her coach specifically came out, Justin Buckles, and said she was on her P and she's a tougher woman than I am because I couldn't have done that. But his words verbatim. 3 weeks in a row we've had the P be the excuse for not making weight. Interesting. That's rough, right? So
you do gain weight on your period.
I would agree with that. 100%.
I just feel like, shouldn't there be some kind of... If
written
they can
clause?
prove it,
can there be a written clause in
If they could prove it, could they give you the average weight of a girl in the world on a period?
I feel like it should be cut and dry. You can or you can't. But I also like the idea of maybe a written clause like, if I'm on my P and can prove it, I get 10% body weight increase.
Because you feel like garbage in a lot of sports that you play in your life. You don't have to fucking weigh in before you do them.
I would agree with that, but that all comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Like, you knew that when you were back in the day, before you got an MMA.
Yeah.
Like, this is all prairie territory.
What about if it was state, girl? Or what if it was whatever, you know?
When it's time to compete, it's time to compete. When you sign a contract 6 months prior, or 2 months, 3 weeks.
Yeah, there has to be something.
It does have to be a cut in there, but
it's just becoming a new tactic that they're like, take 20%.
So thank you, because that's what I was going to hit on.
Take 20%, but Cavillo looked like she tried.
So that's where I tend to disagree. Woo! I tend to disagree, even though I'm giving you that free bet. I'm giving you that free bet because I feel like it was a tactic. To me, I felt that Cavillo looked like she was playing it up. She was playing it up to make it look like she was more weak. She was weaker than she was, and most of the media played into it, and they're like, oh, she looked like she was on death. Look at Raquel Pennington and look at Cavillo. I dare you. Put those pictures up together, and I guarantee you Raquel looks worse. And that's as of late. There's other fighters that have been... Her cheekbones weren't sucked out to me. There was just... Her eyes weren't as sucked out. And not that I want her to see that, but to me, what I'm seeing is somebody who stopped cutting and stopped because she knew she wasn't going to make it by 0.5 and was like, 2 pounds, whatever. And we've seen it time and time again, especially this year. People who miss weight win the fight. So I felt more comfortable with that, and it came through. That was a fast finish, round number 1 to start off the main card for Cavillo. How do you feel this fight goes? Or how do you feel like either fighter right here goes? Botello, everyone was hyping her up. No Vunyao, big striker. Couldn't stop a takedown, like we said.
I'm going to have the same questions I had about her when she left. I still am not on any kind of hype train for Cavillo. Because I'm like, Botello.
But would you say that maybe Esparza isn't that bad?
I love Carla.
But people were
Carla's
like,
my
Cavillo's
girl.
not the girl I used to be. I'm like, wait, Carla. Like, I thought there was a weird...
But you know what I also say? That wasn't... Carla went through this period of like rebirth. That the Carla she is right now is the best version of herself. Like over her last few fights. That Cavillo fight might have been the emergence. Like her... she just had this... Like, Carla had to rebirth herself as an MMA fighter.
Do you want to know what I think the specific thing was that made that fight? Was a takedown defense. If Cavillo got Carla on the ground, it was gonna be a lot more Botello style. Even though Carla's good on the ground, but once Cavillo couldn't get her down, she's not a good striker. Same with Botello. She wasn't winning the striking, but it took one time for Cavillo to get on the ground to take advantage there. So I think wrestlers specifically against Cavillo it's going to be problematic matchups going later on in her career. It's what I see. It's what I see.
Well, that's what everybody's here for.
Right. Do you got anything left with either one of those fighters, though?
I'm excited for Cavillo to be back. And I will also say that Botello at weigh-ins, she looked intimidating AF.
I would agree. She's big.
She's a big girl.
She's a big
girl. She
girl.
looks like she has mad hands, and if she can work on a couple things, she will be great in the division as well. Yep.
Totally agreed with that one. On to the 135ers.
That 115 stacking up.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
You lose JJ, it's like peeling an onion, and there's just this whole other layer of monsters.
Right. What is it? What do they call that? Like in tactics, it fills the gap. You fill the void.
Oh yeah, you cut off a dragon's head and 3 grow in its place.
Yeah, exactly, Cerberus.
Yeah.
So awesome. On to though, again the 35ers. We had
That's
one of our
scientific
favorites.
Explanation. You cut off the dragon's head.
Ancient Greek mythology.
Take that to your biology class.
We had one of LaTB's biggest favorites of the night, Marlon Chito Vera, coming through against Guido Canetti, the alpha male disciple. Round number 2, I had Chito here in a decision. I still played him a lot on my DraftKings, and he was on a lot of my cashing nights. He played as Cavillo did it because we both here had Cavillo big. They both kept me in the cash, even though we had one guy really knock me down in the lower levels of that cash. But, Canetti, one rounder, and also fights in South America the best, where Chito goes around the world and does it well.
I also think Canetti probably maybe got to juice up a little bit. He got to juice up a little bit. He's like a little miniature Danny Zuko. And he went out and hurt Chito for a little while, but Chito's just that kind of fighter. He's going to get hurt.
Sorry, we verdict these.
Yeah.
We did verdict these, and I would say Chito lost that first round. We both were talking about it.
Yeah.
And he did lose that first round, because, yeah, that's when we finally were watching fights. Where do you go?
Verdict on this, but
where do you go with Chito in this against versus Canetti, who I think is...
Canetti, if they do a bunch of Argentina cards going forward, he'll be able to fight on a few cards going forward. Chito, I still like Chito a lot. He's done some growing, but this is a fight that I kind of anticipated him to win. I do think he took some monster shots, got hurt in there, and came through. I also thought his body looked good in there. And I thought his cardio looked good in there. So I still love Chito. Going forward.
That's why he's a staple here at LaTB. You can't teach that heart. And you could see...
Is he from Argentina?
He is not. I believe he's an Ecuadorian fighter.
Ecuador?
Correct. But yeah, staple at LaTB. You got that type of Chito heart, that Leslie Smith heart. It's always going to come through, and it showed in that second round when them knees started coming around against Canetti. On to Ian Heinich defeating Cesar Montanch Ferreira in a 3-round decision. Short notice, 2-week Heinich came out for that Contender Series fight. 30-year-old came in with a troubled background, had a bunch of drug issues, this, that, and the other, went to prison, came back, and looks like he might have some other drugs in his system because this dude was bodied up. Heinich was carved out of stone in there. Both of these fighters were to me. Both of these guys were chiseled.
I agree. I think it kind of went exactly... Didn't you say it was going to go like that?
No, I was saying it was going to be Ferreira decision because of his wrestling, but I was worried about Ferreira's chin because he's always a little chinny, and once Heinich started landing on the chin and stopping those takedowns, it turned into Heinich's fight. And I think he rightfully won that.
I agree.
Where do you go with Montanch, though, here?
I don't know.
He's a ranked fighter who the debuter comes in all of a sudden and is like, whoa.
It was an exciting fight to watch. They were big guys
swinging,
throwing leather. That's the term I heard so many times, I feel like.
Yeah, true.
Which is a term you hear all the time in fighting, but it was just poor guys.
Here, what Lesbo was pointing out last night, which I here like to harp on as well at LaTB, out of the clinch, Heinich was throwing elbows.
T. Wood's haircut.
That was something throwing pops on. No, it was more with Heinich off of the break. He was throwing elbows right out of the break. They weren't landing all the time, but the fact that he's doing that in his debut fight against Montanch type of a fighter, you know how like that dirty boxing range we really stick out. But I remember you saying that last night, and I'm like, that's true. Heinich is somebody to keep an eye out on because huge step up in competition and looked good. Looked good in there. Somebody who didn't look good, we had at light heavyweight Khalil Roundtree come in and do what he usually does. Fuck everybody's night over against Johnny Walker, who, I mean, he had...
Do we know how many people had percentage of Johnny Walker? He was like the second cheapest guy, right?
He was not. He was, I believe, in the top 5 cheapest people, but he was down there. He was lower than Roundtree. I think Roundtree was in that 8 range.
I keep thinking Roundtree was one of the most expensive people, but he was up there, but he wasn't in the 9s.
The reason that I felt like we played him a lot is because we felt he should have been in the 9s due to the likeliness of him getting a knockout, due to the punchiness
I wonder
of Walker.
if I even love Roundtree. Like, if I listen back, do I love Roundtree?
You can't trust him. You cannot trust the man. But I want to say, as we were saying with these other guys, Walker's fighting in Latin America.
And
he's not going to the U.S.
And you were saying...
Back knee, chest knee, face knee. Like, that dude, he landed a vicious elbow against Roundtree in there. No joke.
And Twitter was lighting up about the same exact thing.
Other people saw this dude. I watched his other fights. He grew a neck size from his last fight.
He was like Frankenstein. He grabbed him like Jason from the Friday the 13th movies and just picked him up by the head and like squeezed him backward.
He is a 25-year-old, so he could be finally getting that dad man strength potentially in there, but...
If that's real life, he's one to watch. I'll jump on that hype train. It seems fun. It kind of seemed like an Ngannou hype train. Which could go the exact same way, where you get to see him murder a few people and then just fall off a cliff.
I was about to say, well, after that first round, we'll see where that dude goes. After that first round.
Did I just give away anything?
Maybe. You have to stay tuned.
You'll have to like and subscribe or tune into our Blades Ngannou.
Definitely.
Part 2.
That one's got all sorts of fun ones written all over it. Where do you go with Roundtree in this other than the untrustworthiness? And Walker? You like the hype train of Walker. I'm hesitant. I'm still hesitant on Walker. I don't like what I saw in his prior stuff, but the juice is flowing now.
Where is he from?
Brazil. I can't tell you where in Brazil.
Yeah, it's like Brazil has a mecca of amazing freaking fighters.
That can only fight south of USADA.
Yeah. But USADA's just as dirty. It's just dirty for different fighters.
It's just so much easier to get away with. And you can win the fight, bets be cashed, and then 2 months later they'll pull you. Not a big deal, because you already got your paycheck. Whatever. You already spent half that money. bougie ass money.
You're like, whatever, I'll take it. It goes far down.
Yeah, my DraftKings now is after matter. Checks being cashed. So on to the co-main event. We had a profile.
I'm more
fight.
excited to watch the other guy. What was Johnny?
Walker?
I was about to call him Jim Beam.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a great one.
I thought I'm more excited to watch him going forward than Roundtree. If I can trust my eyeballs and what I saw was real, I'm more excited to watch him going forward. And I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 5 or 6. But if he can fight in places that allow strict drug testing, I'll be like an 8 or 9 excited.
Like betting for or against him?
Betting for him. That was a crazy to just watch him hold him by the skull.
He just cradled him.
And then elbowed him twice to knock him out.
It was brutal. And Roundtree was out.
And then he just dropped his body like the Terminator and just kept walking forward.
Truth.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
It's Roundtree, though. It is Khalil Roundtree. Known bed shitter.
I will finish him. Okay.
On to the profile fight. Ricardo Lamas coming in and defeating the Damage himself in a third round. 4-minute TKO. Ricardo Lamas looked all sorts of good in there. Really using his striking at distance. Just kind of a better fighter all the way around. We called it here at LaTB, I feel like. Lamas was just...
You did. I was trying to really pull for Darren Elkins, but wow. I don't even want to jump on Ricardo. Darren Elkins isn't a walkthrough.
Agreed. And it wasn't a walkthrough fight.
It was not a walkthrough fight at all. But the other thing is, he should be at the end of his career, and the guy is still gritty as fuck.
Agreed with that 100%. He was eating some leg kicks in there as well that could have finished that fight in the second round.
These two fights, I think it was this one and the Ponzinibbio fight, leg kicks, the last two fights.
Calf kicks.
It's becoming the unbearable part of UFC to me, is just watching the leg kicks add up.
Oh, absolutely brutal. As we're saying, I do think, again, it's the end of Elkin's career. He's had every single one of his fights has been brutal, regardless of win or loss for him. He has been in fights that he has talked about, and he's like, I don't feel like it's that bad, but I feel like he gets slower. Already being slow, he always looks a bit slower in there, and I don't see it.
I agree.
I don't see him getting better. Exactly.
In war after war, he's never in a boring fight. He's never in a boring.
He's never in a quick fight. It's never a quick fight.
It is always a grind. Like, you can almost see a Darren Elkins fight, and I think that's the one where you said Darren Elkins would be a hard job.
The 100% hardest job in the world. Being Darren Elkins.
Yeah.
I would not want to do that job because that would suck ass.
It seems like really whew, what a warrior.
Totally.
Like, that guy in any lifetime would have been a warrior.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. He would have been one of those guys that got hit with a musket and had a missing foot.
If he's going to do one more fight, give him a big one. Like, let him close out as a co-main on a huge card.
Against another veteran.
I like when they do that.
Agreed. A Legends type of fight.
Would you say, what weight is he, 145?
145.
Would you say Cub Swanson?
I love that Swanson fight. That's perfect.
Did they, have they fought?
I think Swanson might have just fallen out of a fight. No. Somebody else. There's a bunch of fallouts that just happened.
What would you say about Cub following him? What about if it was a double retirement or a loser,
a double retirement? That's, I think, but everybody wins, especially with those guys. They give performances that are flashy regardless. I think they would posthumously get the fight of the night because UFC would be like, you're both retiring, here's $50,000. And if someone else has an exciting fight, they also would win it. That'd be win-win-win.
And they're both fighting out of California, right?
Yeah.
Out of different gyms, TJ's gym essentially, and Alpha Male again.
Yeah.
Which is kind of perfect.
I love that. I love that call right there. So, Darren Elkins,
and both guys,
Swanson.
I love them, but I think it's time to, just for the love of their brain, not for their skill level or because I don't love them. Anyways.
And not that they couldn't keep doing it in there. Everybody could keep doing it, but there's a time, and their time is sooner than later.
And for 205, where do you go with Johnny Walker? Who's he fight at 205?
I don't like him going forward. specifically at 205, because it's finally a division that's... I'm trying to think. Roundtree isn't that high of caliber.
What about Jimmy Manuwa?
Too higher ranked. He's a top 10 fighter. Even though the rankings, I don't believe...
Hasn't he lost like 3 times in a row?
Doesn't matter. They've all been against ranked fighters as well.
What about...
Pat Cummings.
Isn't Pat Cummings like...
Shitty as shit.
Pat Cummings, you just like feed him to it.
Yeah, there you go, Pat Cummings.
All
Sorry,
right.
Pat Cummings. There you go.
Like,
but there's a bunch of other ones. I think Meek might be in there. He might be at 85, though.
Yeah.
Because they all switch around.
All right, sorry, okay.
So, with Lamas, who would you give? If you give Elkins, Swanson, Lamas, again, being in that top 10, top 15 fighter?
Isn't Lamas he's not in top 5, you don't think?
I don't know. Elkins isn't top 5 either.
I don't think Elkins is, but Lamas, he just lost once. I thought he was on a mad tear.
I think he's on top 10. I think top 10, bordering top 13.
145. What about Lamas, Zabi? Over. I know everyone wants Yair, or I just don't want Yair versus Zabi. Build them both up since everyone already wants it. And the taste is already there. The taste of blood has already been drawn. The guys are young enough to let it build up.
I think you just said the names. Lamas, Yair. That's the fight. They both are. They let him rest 3 months, both of them. Maybe a little longer, Yair. But I think Lamas, because that's a perfect stepping stone. Good all-around fighter all the way around. Lamas, that's a fight right there. I think you called it.
I would be excited about it.
Boom! There it is. On to the main event, though. What we all came to watch. If you're not missing an eye in this one, we told you here at LaTB's. Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your eyes.
I really wasn't passionate about this card, and I think it shows in my number of 5 of 12 correct. Oof.
There was a lot of underdogs that came through as well. It wasn't just you. You weren't the only one in there. It was a tough night of fights.
Not great.
I think we still gave really valuable information because, again, my DraftKings was in the positive. It wasn't Lesbo type of win the week before, but hey, we're striving. We're getting there. At least I ain't losing money. I'm cashing on all sorts of bets.
I'm the Bee Gees, and I hashtag staying alive. Staying alive.
Definitely. So as we were alluding to before, leg kicks seem to be a big factor in here, which I even felt like Lesbo on our breakdown was saying, I could see Magny getting in trouble with leg kicks. And here we were saying that Ponz, if he used that Mike Perry leg kick game, it could have helped out. It obviously did.
I don't remember saying that. Yeah. But thanks.
I listened. I promise you I listened.
I believe you.
We both were on Ponz at least for this one, right?
Yes.
So, ended up...
I did have Magny on a few cards.
I would agree with that. And that made sense because it did go into the 4th round and Magny puts a lot of output in there as well. Magny still helped me cash out because how many points did he end up scoring throughout the night?
I don't even know.
I feel like he was still better than some winners at point.
Like
at
67, I want to say, but yeah. I'm just making that up.
Completely. I want to say 65 range as well, which I'll take. As we were saying with the eyes, there wasn't officially a poke in there. Ponzinibbio did land a punch in that first round that hurt
lower
Magny.
Cheek that hurt Magny's eye, so maybe he broke his orbital.
Right. But then soon thereafter, I believe in the 2nd round, there was a head clash where Ponzinibbio got a gnarly cut on the inside of his either left or right eye. Can't think of it off the top of my head.
And I didn't even remember. I didn't even see that cut. I saw one on his cheek that I thought was awful, and I kept thinking he was wiping the one on his cheek, and we were talking about it spreading because it looked like it was right on the jaw, but I didn't see the one in his eyelid that you were talking about.
Yeah, I had seen it. I just saw the head clash, and I was like, oh, if that's not up in his brow, it's up in his eye. And Ponzinibbio then started touching it immediately, which I'm like, he's going to spread it more open. And if we're in the United States for that fight and it's not Ponzinibbio headlining, they would have stopped that fight because the nerve damage that can happen to the eyelid and the amount of movement that you can have.
That would be really awful if like Ponzinibbio has his all-star moment and something awful happens to his eyeball.
And it gets stopped that way. Fortunately for him, the doctor did come in there and allow it to keep going. Not too much blood from it. And as much as Ponzinibbio was wiping it throughout the fight, I don't think it affected his game plan all that much in there, but Neil Magny was a flamingo in there. He was on one leg pretty much since the 1st round. Those calf kicks never stopped coming. And I mean, Neil Magny,
The thing that we were talking about is not only was Ponzinibbio awesome at cutting them calves, he was awesome at cutting that cage.
good call.
He was just stepping off Magny. And is that testament? I love Neil Magny. But the same being said as these other guys we're talking about, he's been in a lot of fucking wars. Do you think that he is a step slower? And we keep seeing Ponzinibbio not get this top echelon guy? As much as, like, I love Mike Perry. We're not seeing... Well, they said Cowboy at 155 again. But if not...
No, I don't like that.
I don't either, and everyone's talking about it, but I would like to see him fight Ponzinibbio.
Cerrone Ponzinibbio?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a fun fight. Back to what you were saying, though, quickly about Magny. I agree with you that he's fading, and what I also think is happening is that people have adjusted to his game plan. People understand what Neil Magny's going to come out of here and do, and specifically the wins he's had have been against people that have notoriously had weak cardio due to USADA and or being aged fighters themselves, where now that Magny's getting in these top 5 prime fighters, they're not gassing as much, and all of a sudden he's like, shit, that's kind of my ace in the hole at times.
I know, and I don't know what he did great in there at all. He just looked so...
I would agree with that.
People were saying that Magny's corner should have thrown in the towel. And I never seen that all over Twitter before. But it was a regular thing that I saw.
I could see that, but after I listened to a little bit of the press conference stuff, and Magny was like, no, I never felt. And he never wants his... He may have that agreement with his corner where he's like, don't, unless I'm unconscious, do not, which eventually happened. I mean, eventually we saw Scarecrow fall in place in the 4th round when Ponzinibbio landed enough kicks and punches, right hand down the middle.
I know every fighter wants to be a warrior, but his corner should keep him safe.
He might get a couple extra fights in there, for sure. For sure.
I don't think Magny, I mean, oof. That was brutal. The
LaTB conspiracy that I want to hit on the most, that I feel like we highlighted when we were communicating amongst it, was Santiago Ponzinibbio is not 6 foot. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
No way. How tall is Neil Magny? 7'1"?
Exactly. 6'3" Neil Magny, which I would agree, probably 6'3". But Ponzinibbio is not 6 foot, because Neil Magny was a good 6 inches above that. 5 to 6 inches.
It was unbelievable. And then the more we discussed meeting him and talking about what he was wearing, he totally had shoes with lifts on.
100% boots.
That at least had 2 inches, maybe 3.
Do you know the boots that he was wearing? Because I feel like I nailed it down. The biker boots that all the bike riders get with the big heels, with like the circle chrome piece on the end that makes it look all hardcore and buckly. The like Walking Dead guy, what he wears. That all motorcyclers wear. Yeah, that's what he was wearing.
They were a little booty.
But they have like 2 inches worth of lift on them, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, if there's anything to gain from this, is Santiago Ponzinibbio is 5'10". If not shorter.
Yeah, that's it. We're just keeping you guys informed because you never know when it's going to matter.
Definitely. Remember,
and he doesn't mind fighting up.
Agreed. And there's not going to be much taller than 6'3" guys that he's going to be facing in there, so.
And who is he going to fight next?
Ponzi at 170. I love what you're saying with Cerrone. I think they're both in a good place. I think they can both be moving forward.
And Magny, we'll see. He might just be he's going to open the gate. He's
matchup dependent. He's going to beat guys that have cardio issues. Cardio, and like Ricardo Lamas at a heavier size, those type of guys, going to give Magny a lot of trouble.
He has enough name. He'd be excited if he was still on a card.
He's a stepping stone, unfortunately, at this point for his career.
All right, so we might have a Thanksgiving gift with a breakdown that comes out early.
Definitely. It is the holiday season, so we're going to have to adjust our hours. But hey.
No less content.
No less is the exact point. LaTB, bringing it strong.
Thank you.
Bringing more. Lesbo the Bean!
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.